So, you've seen the headlines, right? The crazy million-dollar digital art sales. But have you ever actually stopped and wondered what's really under the hood of a massive NFT marketplace like OpenSea? Like, what does it actually take to build one of those things from scratch?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. Think of this as a builder's journey. We're going to deconstruct the entire blueprint for one of these modern digital bazaars. We'll look at the code, the architecture, and, all the huge decisions that developers have to make to bring something this complex to life.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start with the big picture, the blueprint. Then we'll get into the toolbox. What tech do you use? After that, we're actually building the thing. We'll tackle a really tricky data problem, talk about wallets and money, and finally, take it from just code on a screen to a real live application. Sound good? Let's dive in.
All right, Section 1, the blueprint. Look, before you write a single line of code, you have to get this part right. You have to understand the core mechanics. Building something like OpenSea, it isn't just about copying a design you like. It's about engineering a system that can handle the pretty unique demands of the crypto world.
And really, that whole system, all that complexity, it boils down to two main ideas. First up is flexibility. Your app has to support both the permanent, unchangeable transactions on the blockchain and the more traditional, manageable features of a regular online store. And second, scalability. This is non-negotiable. In crypto, something can go viral like overnight. So your app has to be ready for these massive, insane traffic spikes from day one.
Okay, so with our principles in mind, it's time for Section 2, choosing your tools. Just like any construction project, the first big decision is what you're going to build with. In software, we call this the tech stack. And believe me, this one decision, it's going to shape everything that comes next. How fast you build, how the site feels, the whole shebang.
And for a project like this, the choice usually comes down to two heavyweights, JavaScript or PHP. Now, both are super powerful, for sure. But they kind of represent different ways of thinking, different philosophies, and they're better at different things.
Yeah, it really is all about trade-offs. So the JavaScript stack, think Node.js and React, it's absolutely fantastic for real-time features, like a live auction where you see the bids pop up instantly for everyone. That's its sweet spot. But on the other hand, you've got a PHP stack like Laravel. It's a total powerhouse for getting something built fast. It has stuff like security and user logins already built right in, which means you can get your minimum viable product, your MVP, out the door and into the market incredibly quickly.
But here's the really clever part, and something a lot of pros do. This choice, it isn't always either or forever. A lot of successful founders play the long game. They'll start with something like Laravel to get to market fast, and then, as they grow and have more resources, they'll pick off the most performance-critical parts, like that live auction engine, and rebuild just that part using Node.js. It's this awesome best-of-both-worlds strategy.
All right, tools are chosen. Let's get our hands dirty. Section 3 is where we actually start building the marketplace itself. We're talking about architecting the core features, the stuff users are going to see and click on every single day.
So just think about the user's journey for a second. First, they've got to be able to list and mint their NFTs, right? Then they'll need a really good search and filter system to find cool stuff. The bidding and auction engine, well, that's the heart of the action. That's where the excitement is. And behind all of that, you have the wallet and blockchain integration connecting everything together. Plus, of course, an admin panel for you, the owner, to actually manage the whole marketplace.
And what's holding all this information together? The database. Seriously, think of it like the marketplace's central library, all neatly organized. You've got your users table for profiles and wallet addresses. The NFTs table holds all that key metadata, the title, the token ID. Collections helps group things together so they're easy to find. And of course, the transactions table, which is basically a logbook of every single sale, bid, and transfer. Getting this structure clean from the start is absolutely crucial for performance down the road.
Okay, this next part is, I think, one of the coolest and most interesting challenges when you're building an app like this. Developers call it the two-source problem. And it's all about this puzzle. How do you make two very, very different kinds of data play nicely together?
So what are these two sources? Well, on one hand, you have data that's pulled right off the blockchain. This stuff it's the source of truth. It's unchangeable, it's trustless, it's public.
But then, on the other hand, you also need your own admin-managed listings. For things like special curated drops or promotional items that your team adds manually. That data needs to be flexible. You need to be able to edit it.
So how in the world do you show both of these at the same time? How do you create one seamless feed for the user where a curated pre-sale item can sit right next to an NFT that's been bouncing around the public blockchain for years? It's a real head-scratcher. And the solution is actually pretty elegant. It's something called a unified API. You can think of it like a master curator at a museum. Behind the scenes, it's grabbing art from two different collections, one from the public blockchain, one from your private internal database. It then blends everything together, sorts it, and presents this one single seamless exhibit to the user. And the user? They never even know about all that complexity happening in the background. It just works.
Okay, on to Section 5. And this is probably the most critical part of our whole digital bazaar: the locks, the keys, and the cash registers. This is all about how we secure user accounts and make sure transactions happen safely.
So in the world of Web3, you typically don't log in with a password like you're used to. Instead, it's all about wallet-based authentication. Here's how it works. The platform sends your crypto wallet a unique, one-time message. You then sign that message with your wallet. This proves you own that address without ever revealing your secret private key. It's a totally different and, frankly, much more secure way to handle who you are online.
So, once you're logged in, the entire marketplace just runs on these commands, which we call API endpoints. The waitstaff analogy is perfect here. You have GET requests, which are like asking the waiter to bring you information, like, give me a list of all NFTs. And then you have POST requests, which are for doing something, like post a new NFT for minting, or post a bid, or post a transaction to finalize a sale.
And here's another pro tip, straight from the developer playbook. Talking to the blockchain can be slow and it can be expensive. So what's the solution? Caching. By storing frequently used data, like an NFT's picture and title, temporarily, you don't have to ask the blockchain for it every single time. This makes your app way faster and cheaper to run. The real trick, of course, is doing it smartly so you don't end up showing old, stale data during something fast-paced like an auction.
All right, we've come a long way. We've designed the thing, we've built it, we've secured it. Now for the final section. Number 6, taking all that code and turning it into a real live product. This is all about testing, deploying, and getting ready to finally open the doors.
Look, you can't just throw it online and hope for the best. Not with real money on the line. A professional launch needs a serious, multi-layered testing strategy. You build confidence from the ground up. You start small, with unit tests that just check tiny, isolated functions. Then, you move up to integration tests to make sure all those little pieces work together properly. And finally, you do end-to-end tests, where script acts like a real person, simulating the entire user journey from connecting a wallet all the way to buying an NFT to catch any last-minute bugs.
So, after going through this whole journey, from blueprint to launch, we arrive at the ultimate trade-off, the big decision. When you build a custom marketplace from scratch, you get absolute, total control over every feature, every pixel. But, and it's a big but, you also own all of the complexity. Every bug, every server issue, every challenge with scaling, it's all on you.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, and to you. For your big idea, what's the right path? Do you want that total control that comes from a custom build, even with all the headaches? Or is the speed and simplicity of a ready-made launchpad a better fit? There's no single right answer. But understanding this entire journey, everything we've talked about, that's the first and most important step to finding your answer.